Welcome to Making Moves. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Joyce Morgan Danford. We'll be hearing from JTA Executive Director and CEO Michael Blaylock in just a moment. First, though, we began with a recent visit to Jacksonville by Ray LaHood. He's the head of the U.S. Department of Transportation. The Secretary made a stop at the Veterans Memorial Wall in Midtown to honor Jacksonville veterans in a very big way. LaHood brought with him a check for nearly $2 million for what's being called the Veterans Transportation and Community Living Initiative. Making Moves, Bill Milnes was on hand for that announcement and has all the details.
It was a beautiful day in Jacksonville when U.S. Secretary of Transportation Ray LaHood came to town, but LaHood was not here for the great weather. The Secretary flew 1,000 miles to be here for one purpose: to help JTA help our area's military veterans. Secretary LaHood announced a $1.9 million grant for JTA to build a one-call, one-click transportation resource center aimed at aiding our veteran population.
We owe them access to affordable, convenient, reliable transportation. This will make it possible for veterans to check bus and van schedules online or over the phone, or to schedule rides with van pools or private transportation companies.
LaHood said the Obama administration chose Jacksonville for this grant for two key reasons.
Number one, they have good transportation programs. Number two, this community is all about the military and all about integrating the military back into the community. Those are the two main reasons that Jacksonville was selected.
While Jacksonville is a welcoming place for veterans of all ages, unemployment among vets remains high, currently running at 12%. A major component for anyone seeking a job, military or civilian, is transportation. The new resource center will provide access to important transportation information and connections, both by phone and the internet, on how to get around Jacksonville and the surrounding counties.
Because we may live in or around Jacksonville, but we work, rest, recreate, and find community in the counties of St. Johns, Clay, Nassau, and beyond, and we do it as if those places were no further than going down to our mailbox. And so, Mr. Secretary, the Jacksonville Transportation Authority is so pleased to be a recipient of this grant to establish a one-call transportation resource center that will benefit our veterans, the families they support, and the local agencies that exist to serve them.
Mayor Alvin Brown called this initiative a great opportunity for Jacksonville to honor those who have served this country with distinction.
That by helping our veterans have access to transportation, we're expanding opportunities for them to find work and get around our great city. This will also be important for those freshly returning home from conflict zones who want to get back to work and make sure that they can take care of their family.
The new resource center will take about 18 months to complete. In Jacksonville, Bill Milnes, JTA, Making Moves.
And let's bring in the man who will oversee this important project, JTA Executive Director and CEO Michael Blaylock. Now, Michael, we just heard Bill say that this is going to take about 18 months to complete this resource center, but when does the clock really start ticking?
Joyce, actually, we're trying to get that clock going now. I think the President and both the Secretary have been very clear about how important this effort is for veterans, and so I'm challenging the staff to speed this thing before 18 months.
Okay. One of the things that a lot of folks are going to say is that this resource center sounds like a great idea, but is it exclusively just for veterans? No, it's not exclusive for the veterans, but it is. The veterans obviously is a targeted audience because of the amount of return of the veterans back into our community and the number of services that are needed, accessing medical attention as well as accessing jobs.
So the priority obviously is to focus in on that particular market, but because we're bringing all of the regions together, all of the resources together, obviously those persons that are living in those counties that need those services, we're just trying to do a better job of coordinating their transportation.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, just to hear the Secretary say that, one of the reasons that this resource center is in Jacksonville is because of transportation and what's going on with transportation in this area. That has to make you feel pretty good.
Joyce, that is quite an honor to hear high praises from the highest ranking official in the U.S. with respect to transportation. And so it's a strong compliment for Jacksonville. It's a strong compliment for our community. But I'm really excited. But I think they were quite serious about, you know, making a strong effort to reach out to the veterans and to these communities that are really lacking in good access to transportation. So we're going to make it happen.
Truly a strong statement.
Very strong statement.
Well, on our last show, we told you how JTA was planning to increase its bus fares for most rides. So the authority took its plan to the people, holding a public hearing at the Florida State College campus downtown. Well, afterward, we caught up with some of JTA's constituents to hear what they had to say about the fare increase. Here's what they told us.
All in all, I think the increase is fair because they are one of the lowest fare in the state of Florida.
Well, considering the improvements that I've seen, today, it's not totally unfair per se.
The increase is among the lowest in the whole state of Florida.
Well, we learned from our last show from CFO Blair Fishburne that the main driver behind the increase is economics. But despite all the cuts that JTA has made, simply put, more revenue is needed. But I think it was interesting to hear that many of the folks that you talked to, most of the folks who were out there, kind of understand this fare increase.
Yeah, and that's important, Joyce. I think that people really do understand the fact that the rising cost of fuel and just the cost of doing business and just the ability to keep service on the street is very, very important. So I think the pushback is not necessarily been the base fare increases, but we certainly have heard a lot of strong concerns from our disabled community.
Mm-hmm. And just like you were saying, you did hear from the disabled community, and there was a scheduled fare increase of about 50 cents on theirs, but I hear that you're going to ask the board to kind of hold off on that?
Well, not exactly. What we're going to do, this process allows us, Joyce, before the board takes final action, is that we have to reach out to the community and hear the comments and concerns. And we've hosted a number of sessions to do so, and we've gotten some very good suggestions. So, so my goal is to offer some alternative to the board for the board's consideration in light of the concerns that have been raised by persons that are experiencing access to transportation, such as our transportation disadvantaged population.
One of the things a lot of people say is that JTA just arbitrarily makes these increases, and they do it without input, and it's your thing, you just do it. But these public hearings really show that you listen.
Yeah, and I think the facts prove that. I mean, we this past year, we've hosted a number of sessions, community outreach sessions, transit talk sessions to hear comments from the public about how they want their service to be developed, and whether it's community, neighborhood community shelters. But in this particular case, we have spent an enormous amount of time with the community hearing the comments. So the process works that we've heard, and now we have to do some sort of response to that, and we're going to do that.
And for the latest news on the fare changes, just check out our Facebook page. In other news, construction of the first phase of JTA's Bus Rapid Transit program begins later next year, but the service now has a name. The new specialized service will be called MAX. When it's implemented, MAX will transport passengers along key travel corridors, including Phillips Highway and Lim Turner, with fewer stops and more frequent service. Meanwhile, a new low-cost commercial bus service kicked off in late November that will take travelers between Jacksonville, Atlanta, and Orlando. Megabus launched its service by offering rides for as little as $1. In a partnership with JTA, Megabus will use one of the bus bays at JTA's Convention Center station. And you know what, Michael, a lot of people are going to ask this question. Why in the world is JTA allowing a private bus company to do this?
Well, George, it's make good business sense. I mean, we're talking about bringing another market for our customers. I mean, we have customers that travel outside of Jacksonville, so it's a different market. But more importantly, it's just another move to create this regional transportation concept in the villa. So by allowing Megabus to service Jacksonville, our customers can get that access. And so that's very, very important in terms of creating the long-term partnership that would be important for that concept.
We really do want to remind folks that JTA has nothing to do with ticketing, nothing to do with customer service. It's a separate entity. And if you want to book a trip, you have to do that on megabus.com, not through JTA. That's important.
Yeah, that's correct. And for those that are calling us, we're referring them to that website.
Nationally, several states are still deciding if high-speed rail will be a part of their transportation future. Georgia is one of those states, and that has rail proponents in Jacksonville very excited. Making Moves caught up with the group, finalizing a report for the Georgia Department of Transportation that would determine the feasibility of a high-speed train network between the Atlanta area and the First Coast. Claudia Bellato says it's likely her group will give the Georgia DOT its recommendation to pursue the high-speed rail corridor.
Yes, certainly I think Jacksonville and the connection to Florida is a really important opportunity. You know, there's a lot of air connections and air linkage between Atlanta and Jacksonville, and that's one of the potential areas that we analyze to look at ridership for the corridor. And of course, it would be a gateway to Florida.
Now, if Georgia's DOT moves forward on the recommendation, the next step is an environmental study and then begin to pursue funding sources. Now, Michael, we are still a very long way from actually boarding trains, a fast train that will take us to Atlanta, but this is definitely progress.
Yes, this is very significant because if we look at the national high-speed map, the corridors of all the high-speed corridors in the country, Jacksonville is the southern terminus for the National High-Speed Rail Corridor. And so we're obviously very, very concerned, and we actually have a relationship with the state of Georgia as a part of this study in looking at creating that network between the East Coast into Jacksonville, Florida.
Well, coming up next on Making Moves, a longtime JTA board member is inducted into the First Coast Business Hall of Fame. An expansion on a key Northside roadway is complete. We'll tell you why the Hexter Drive project is so critical to this region's economic future. Stay with us.
You're watching JTA Making Moves, honored by the American Public Transportation Association with its 2011 Ad Wheel Award.
In 2012, everything will change. It will be unlike anything you've experienced before. And we're just getting started. Star, coming to Jacksonville, January 2012.
Welcome back to Making Moves. The JTA Board of Directors is a very talented group, and we've told you that before. We have investors, developers, entrepreneurs, lawyers, and now we have a Hall of Famer. Former chairman and current member Cleve Warren was recently inducted into the First Coast Business Hall of Fame. Warren, the president and CEO of Essential Capital, was officially inducted by our own Michael Blaylock at a ceremony last month sponsored by the Florida Council on Economic Education.
But it's an honored group to be a part of, and I'm just humbled by the whole experience, quite frankly. As I said in my speech, I'm just not one for a lot of public adulation, just to do what needs to be done, and I just have felt comfortable being involved in both business things and community things, and I just feel like it's part of my nature to be involved.
And what a wonderful honor for Mr. Warren, and actually well-deserved. And you were there to hand the honor to him. How wonderful.
Yeah, it was a great moment, and it's always an honor when you can recognize a person of that caliber. I mean, he's just an extraordinary community servant and business leader in our community, and for the council to recognize his efforts and induct him into the Hall of Fame, that is quite a compliment.
And we also want to give a shout out to Steve Wallace, the president of Florida State College at Jacksonville, who was also inducted. FSCJ is one of the sponsors of Making Moves, so congratulations again to both Mr. Wallace and to Mr. Warren.
Well, Joyce, that's great too. Dr. Wallace is a great partner for the JTA, and I'm really excited about all the great work that he's doing at the college.
Absolutely. Congratulations again to both of those guys. Well, it's not often that a bus makes news, but if claims from a company in Michigan about its new bus design prove true, it could change the future of bus transit and save transit agencies millions of dollars in the process. Altair Engineering, based in Troy, Michigan, says its new transit bus could revolutionize the transit industry by providing reduced fuel consumption and emissions at a significantly lower cost of traditional diesel buses. Altair claims the vehicle's fuel economy is 100% better than conventional diesel buses and 30% better than the leading diesel-electric hybrid buses available today. Now, the company says its new hydraulic hybrid bus achieved an industry-high fuel economy of nearly 7 miles per gallon while costing only $170,000. Now, that's about 1/3 the cost of a new hybrid bus. So, as the CEO of a transit agency, and you're listening to these claims, what do you think about this? This could save potentially millions of dollars.
And Joyce, that's why we're watching it very closely. I mean, we keep a pretty close track on all of the development technologies throughout our industry, and this is certainly one that we're keeping on the radar screen. We don't want to be the guinea pig of the industry, if you will, but it does provide some huge opportunities if it comes to fruition.
Okay, so you guys really like what's being said.
Yeah, it's all good news for us. I mean, because if you can get 7 miles to gallon of fuel, we're getting about maybe 3.5 miles per gallon, and that's significant if you can double that. So, I mean, obviously, and then the overall cost of the equipment itself is also important. And so, if we can get that at a much reduced cost in terms of what we're paying now, that's more service for the community, have more buses on the road. So, it has some really tangible benefits for us.
Okay, we'll keep watching it then. Well, JTA continues its push toward a January 30th launch of the new Star Card. Over the next few weeks, JTA staffers will be traveling to various locations around the city, teaching riders how to use the new ticket vending machines to load their new cards. The authority will be handing out thousands of free Star Cards beginning in mid-January. Passengers can then make purchases of 1, 3, 7, or 31 days on the card. Reduced paratransit and youth fares will also be accepted using the Star Card. The authority is also working on a new how-to video for the JTA website that will give a step-by-step instruction on how to load your Star Card using the new ticketing machines. Watch for that coming in January. Well, it took 3 years and more than $61 million to build, but a newly refurbished Hexter Drive is now open for the traffic on the city's north side. But what makes this JTA project so important is its proximity to one of the key economic drivers in North Florida, Jacksonville's port. And that alone makes Hexter Drive one of the most important roadways in our entire region. On any given day, you can see dozens and dozens of big trucks and tractor-trailer rigs doing some heavy-duty hauling on and around Heckscher Drive. This is an industrial area that is the site of tremendous growth on the north side due to a number of businesses, including the cruise ship terminal and the expansion at Jaxport. That's a major part of the reason for the Heckscher Drive Road project.
The economic pressures of the last few years have everybody looking for money and time-saving opportunities. So the movement of the cargo on our roadways is extremely important. So the fact that that area of Jacksonville, the north side, has grown means that we need to dedicate some investment to making sure the area around is not only safe and secure for our residents, which is number one, quality of life issues, but also allows us to be a port of choice.
Here's what we saw when we came out to the project back in April. Workers pouring cement on part of the Dunn Creek Bridge. That was then. But now, that bridge and the bridge over the Broward River are both ready for traffic. JTA officials say this 3-year project came in under budget with lots of improvements.
used to be just a single 2-lane road. Now it's a divided 4-lane highway with a bike path.
The road improvements span over a 2-mile stretch from Drummond Point all the way to August Drive at the entrance of the cruise ship terminal. Truckers who frequently use the road couldn't be happier.
It was single lane over there, and that's a hassle, but I think this is going to be a good thing. I think it'll make a difference.
Okay. The widening of Hexter Drive is not only good for the big trucks that travel in this area, it's also good for the people who work and live in this area and must use Hexter Drive every single day.
Well, it would be real beneficial for the workers that work down at Blunt Island, and also the people that go on the ship at the Carnival Cruise Line.
But the road is part of a bigger vision of increasing mobility in that area while improving the quality of life in Jacksonville by attracting more industry to our city.
The port business is incredibly competitive, so anything that can give you an edge is extremely important. And of course, what we do brings jobs and dollars to this region, and that's what it's all about.
You know, Michael, Heckscher Drive was one of the major parts of the Better Jacksonville project. So what's next for JTA?
Well, Josh, we have about over $50 million of projects in the works now that are working their way through either through construction or final design. So we have enough work to keep us busy over the next couple of years. But one of the unique things about the JTA is our ability to keep forging toward the future. So we're looking at trying to move some other priority projects. For an example, Butler and I-95 is one of our major choke points in our highway network, and so we're trying to advance that project. We did gain some federal money to move it to another level of planning, and so it's just a movement that we're going to be concentrating on. If you think about it, Joyce, we don't really have a capacity problem, a highway capacity problem in Jacksonville. You can get around pretty easily. But we have done a pretty good job. DOT has done a great job of cleaning up I-95 and I-10. They've done a great job of I-95 and 295. So we've got other intersections and interchanges like I-95 and Butler, Blanding, major intersections along Blanding and Atlantic Boulevard that we need to concentrate on. So we're going to be forging ahead in that direction.
It's been quite the award season for JTA. The local chapter of the Florida Planning and Zoning Association recognized the authority for its study on transit-oriented development. JTA's regional planner, James Boyle, accepted the plaque at the FPZA's annual award ceremony last month at the Casa Marina Hotel in Jacksonville Beach.
And for JTA, we thought that their study was a very good study to show how to combine land use and transit. And we thought that the land use aspect of it was very important to promote sustainable communities. So we thought that JTA was an awarding winner.
This is a great honor for JTA. Everyone thinks of us as transportation and transit, but you know, it's important to integrate land use around transportation. So with our transit-oriented development strategic plan, you know, we're able to do that.
Meanwhile, the Florida Public Transportation Association honored JTA with 3 awards during its annual marketing awards ceremony held recently in Tampa. JTA won first place awards for the Rides of March campaign and for the Riverside Trolley Facebook page. It also picked up an honorable mention for its employee newsletter, Green Light. All this comes after the American Public Transportation Association handed JTA 2 first-place awards. JTA was honored for its annual Tiger Hunt event with Edward Waters College and then took home the agency's first-ever overall category win at the APTA Awards. That coming for our very own Making Moves show. So, Michael, let's talk about this award from the Florida Planning and Zoning Association. One of the mainstays at JTA's legacy is always kind of thinking forward. You know, the James Point Bridge project, the JTB, and the community shuttles. Now the TOD.
We're talking about creating these stations, these mini hubs that would accommodate mixed-use developments, and that could be retail, that's housing, that could be a daycare center. And so having the planning roadmap to creating those type of facilities is a great compliment that we were honored to do that, to receive that. And additionally, as we look at commuter rail and as we build out the entire transportation network system, we're trying to create more of a need to have to drive on the expressway system. So if we can create an environment where you can have other activities occurring, it's within a walkable distance, then that's the wave of the future in terms of transportation planning.
Personally, I just want to congratulate you. More awards from your peers in the transportation industry, both here in Florida and nationally.
Well, Joyce, I mean, we are fortunate. We have a tremendous level of talented staff people that really, really work very, very hard in every aspect of what we try to accomplish. And so it's a compliment to the organization and to the employees that really work hard to do a good job for us.
Any final thoughts?
Joyce, let's kind of reflect a little bit. I mean, we have had a pretty exciting 2011.
Yeah, we do.
We have full plate of activities, the further introduction of the neighborhood community shuttle system, further advancement of our technology plan, and just tremendous ridership increases, the increasing of our youth market using our system. And so as we look to 2012, I'm just really excited about the level of initiatives and projects that we have on the horizon for 2012, beginning, as we talked about earlier, this relocation of Greyhound to the Lavilla area. That's the first phase of our regional transportation hub concept. And again, we talked about the complement of the megabus being located in that area. You're going to see in 2012, in addition to that, you're going to see construction for the first leg of the bus rapid transit system. And that will, of course, interface with the Skyway and interface with the Greyhound in the Lavilla area. And that's really, really exciting in terms of finally seeing these projects come to fruition, notwithstanding what we're talking about in terms of our technology improvements, the introduction of a new fare collection system that's going to provide all kinds of flexibility for our customers to access the system. And Joyce, that's going to be complemented with a new trip planning system where customers can access and navigate how to utilize the system better. So it's just a whole host of activities that are scheduled for 2012. We have a whole host of activities that we really want to try to advance, and cleaning up a lot of our choke points, I think, is going to be a critical priority for us, and we will be advancing that and moving those projects along. But I'm just really excited. Our customers and our community stakeholders are going to be really, really excited about the level of energy and projects that will be coming forth in 2012 finally. So, I mean, it's exciting. It's exciting for Jacksonville. I'm excited for our new incoming mayor with respect to the developments of the downtown focus and economic focus that we're looking for in 2012. So we're looking for a great partnership in 2012.
Okay, thanks so much. And that wraps up this edition of Making Moves. We hope you'll join us again real soon. If you missed part of the show or just want to watch it again, complete episodes of Making Moves are always available online at jtafla.com. And of course, make sure to stay in touch with us on Facebook. For the entire Making Moves team, I'm Joyce Morgan Danford. We'll see you the next time we're Making Moves.